recording, it's not, sounds very echoey and not that nice. So I think that I'm just gonna not use music for now. So come to a seated position. I'm gonna sit on my bolster, but if you have a cushion or whatever, come and have a seat on that. Okay. So I'm going to cross my legs. Any way you want to sit is fine. You know that you can sit on a chair, you can sit, you can kneel. You just really want to be comfortable, and that's the main thing here, is to be comfortable. Now, if you are going to cross your legs like me, I'm going to cross them the opposite way that I would normally cross them, okay? And we're going to start, of course, with the breath. We're going to try to sit up nice and tall, whatever that means for you. What I don't want you to do is strain to sit up straight. So if you sit up really straight for a while and you start to get tired, just relax. Yeah, you'll get there where sitting straight will become easier for you once you train your muscles and everything to feel comfortable in that kind of position. So please, the most important thing is to be comfortable. So sitting up straight, so first you find the sit bones. So finding the sit bones, I like to move the fleshy bits sometimes just so you can get a real sense of sitting on those sit bones. And then just sitting up nice and tall without arching the ribs or compressing the lower back. And we're just gonna roll the shoulders back. So I'm gonna roll one shoulder back and roll the other shoulder back, and then just let the shoulder blades fall down the back. And your arms could be hanging by your sides. They could be on your lap, palms down, palms up. If you like using certain mudras, you could do that. I'm gonna take a big breath in and a big breath out. So we're gonna breathe through the nose at first and let it out through the mouth. And keep doing that a couple times. And as you do that, just notice places in your body that you're holding tension. And so it could be between the eyes, in the jaw, so that space between your eyebrows, into the jaw, the shoulders, the belly. These are the main areas where we tend to hold tension, around the hips as well. So staying with that breath, and if you want to slow the breath down or just start breathing through the nose, in and out rather than through the mouth, go ahead. And you want to try to breathe with ease. And now notice where you breathe from. Are you a shallow breather, where you kind of keep the belly constrained and tight and kind of breathe from the chest? And if you are that person, a lot of us are, then just really bring your focus to your belly and let all the tension release there. And let the belly expand on your inhale. So it's just letting all that musculature around the belly relax and respond to the breath. So the belly moves out on the inhale and then naturally recedes back and in on the exhale. Just noticing that. And then I want you to bring the breath up to the chest where you feel the rib cage expand and widen all the way around. Staying with that breath for a while. Imagine the lungs filling up, the rib cage expanding, allowing room for the lungs. And maybe one big breath into the nose and sigh out through the mouth now. Keep your eyes closed. We're just going to move into the next, so dropping the chin down towards the chest, We're going to start with half circle, so bringing your chin up towards one shoulder, down and up towards the other shoulder, moving with your breath in and up. Keep going. And now take that circle all the way around. So go around now in the opposite circle. It's the opposite direction with your circle. And come to neutral. We're going to tuck the chin a little bit to elongate the neck and the back. And then you're going to bring the left ear down to the left shoulder. And you're going to extend the right arm palm facing up. And take a breath in and notice now, because you started to move, so we may instantly, as soon as we start to move, we may instantly tighten up somewhere. But let it all relax. Bring the head up. And now bring that right ear down to the right shoulder. Take a breath. Nice full breaths, belly relaxed, no tension in the jaw or in the face. Extend the left hand, the left arm hand facing up towards the ceiling. You may want to drop the hand down closer to the floor. Take one inhale here. Exhale, come up. Excuse me for a moment because there's somebody still trying to come in and I'm pressing a button and it's not working. I don't know why. I don't know if I can't admit her when it started. Sorry, guys. Okay. So just doing a little, starting with the neck for the person just coming in. We just did a couple of neck rolls. And now we're going to, okay. So now just simply look over your left shoulder and take a breath. And look over the other shoulder. And breath. And exhale, center. I want you to take your arms now nice and wide out to the sides. And you're just stretching the arms all the way back. So you're opening your chest. You're really squeezing the shoulder blades behind you. Take a breath here. Again, if your chin is sticking out, bring it back in. And now bring your arms in. And then a little, so just drop the arms a little bit, down a little bit, and same thing. So just lowering your arms a bit and then really squeezing the shoulder blades in the back. Inhale, and exhale, release. And maybe just a little lower. And so just really pressing the shoulder blades in the back. Breath in, exhale, and breath out. Taking the arms now wide, and then crossing one over the other. So you're at the elbows here, and then you're going to bend both elbows, and then almost like an eagle, but not quite. So I want you to bring the back of the arms together, but causing a little bit of resistance. So you could feel the shoulder blades perhaps in the back, like widen. Take a breath here. Take one more breath. And it's like you're pushing the back of the forearms. I can bring the forearms together, but I don't want them to come together. I want you to have this resistance there. And then you can bring the fingers up towards the ceiling. Take a breath. Exhale. Come down. Like I said, if you've been sitting all day, you can do this standing. Again, we're going to open the arms. Take a big inhale in. And then exhale, cross the other arm now over on the bottom. I keep getting people coming in. Sorry. So the other arm on the bottom, bringing the forearms towards each other, but not, I can just collapse and do this very easily, but I don't want to do that. The shoulder blades are nice and wide apart. I'm bringing the arms together and I'm bringing the fingers up towards the ceiling, and take a breath here. And exhale, release that. And then we're going to take the arms wide again and then bring them behind. Clasp the fingers in the back and just bring those hands down towards the floor behind you. So you can kind of feel the shoulder blades kind of moving down your back. Take a breath here. Check in if there's any place of tension and release. And one more wide, big breath. And then clasp with the other pinky on the bottom. And bring those hands or knuckles down towards the floor. Tucking your chin a little bit, nice long neck. Don't arch, I don't want the ribs to come up or compress the lower back. So nice, neutral, strong, aligned spine. Take a breath, exhale, and release. We're just going to bring the shoulders now up towards the ears and back and down. So you're bringing the shoulders up, you're squeezing the shoulder blades together, and then you're moving the shoulder blades down the back. So moving with your breath, inhale up. Squeeze the shoulder blades together and move the shoulder blades down, and we'll do one more of those. Bring the shoulder blades up. Squeeze those shoulder blades together and move the shoulder blades down, and we'll do a couple the other way. So we'll just squeeze the shoulder blades first together and then move, and really focus the movement on the shoulder blades and not so much the shoulders moving. Of course the shoulders are moving, but I mean initiate the movement with the shoulder blades, so squeezing the shoulder blades together and allow the shoulder blades to move up, and then roll your shoulders back down. And we're just going to do a couple twists. So again, thinking about the thoracic spine, so thinking about moving through the ribs, okay? So keeping your pelvis where it is. I like to take my hands to the ribs and take a nice breath here. And exhale, just try to twist to the left with just your ribs and hold and breathe. So no energy going anywhere else, okay? So very nice and light everywhere else. And you're just, your obliques, your abdominal muscles doing all the work to hold you here. I don't want you to take your hands and go into a passive stretch. It's an active stretch. Your muscles are actively working here to keep you here. I'm not here because I'm just moving myself and letting everything relax, okay? So coming back to center, take a breath here. And we're going to go to the other side. So take an inhale, and then exhale, and twist to the other side. Again, letting everything else release and relax. Your jaw, around your hips, feeling all the muscles of your abdomen holding you here. Big deep breaths. And on your next exhale, come forward. And then take another breath. And let's just try to get a little tiny movement between the chest and the ribs, kind of. So I'm just going to hold my ribs, and I just want to see if I can just twist like I'm taking the lid off a jar. I'm just going to bring my chest to the left as my ribs stay where they are. Maybe a little tiny, tiny movement, and come back and try to move the other way. So just try to move the chest. Take a breath and come back. And now just going into this nice side stretch. So I'm releasing my left hand down by my side or onto the floor. I'm going to bring the palm facing up towards the ceiling, and I'm just going to come over for a nice side stretch. Really keeping my right buttock down to the floor as I reach the right arm. I'm really focusing on the stretch between the hips and the ribs. Big breath. And exhale, come down, and we're going to move over to the other side. So inhale, and then exhale, reach. Another big breath, reach, and exhale, come down. We'll do just a few internal and external rotations with the arms. So really trying to initiate the movement from the joint, the shoulder joint, so the arm in the shoulder joint, and just moving externally, hold, take a breath, exhale, try to internally rotate the shoulders in the shoulder socket, take a breath, and release. We're just going to bring the arms up now, forward and up to the sky. So we're just going to bring them, inhale, bring the arms up. Have a breath there and exhale down. And remember, I don't want you arching the back. I don't want the ribs to move. We're just working with the mobility that we had in our shoulders, so a little wider. Take a breath here. Don't tense anywhere else. Notice if you're tensing anywhere else. Notice what happens and what you do when you just have a little bit of work to do. Breath in, exhale, breath out. Now a little tiny bit wider. Respect our boundary. So this is my boundary. I could possibly really strain to go past it, but please don't do that. Exhale, come down. So we are going to, you can get off what you're sitting on. And we're going to open the legs nice and wide. And you can lean back if you want, without collapsing the shoulders, of course. So I'll just have my hands, my fingers pointed behind me, and my toes are pointed up towards the ceiling. And just like we did in the shoulders, we're going to do some internal and external rotation in the hips. So again, initiating the movement in the hips, so the big femur, your big leg bone, moving in the hip socket. And that is where I want you to really focus moving from. And again, move with your breath, relax your face. Relax the belly. So I'm going to go a little wider actually and continue that movement. So I can make it seem like I'm doing it by just wobbling my foot back and forth, but there's a difference, and everybody's done class with me before. They're used to this movement. So I'm just moving the legs in a little closer. Just getting some nice mobility in the hips. So a little closer. Continue that movement. Strange for me not to teach with music, so quiet. It's kind of nice though. So a little closer. And now we're going to go into the 1990 legs. So people who've done class with me, they know what that means. For those of you who have never done class, it's basically we're moving our feet. So we're moving our legs so that there's a 90-degree angle between the back of your leg and the shin. So there's a 90-degree angle here, and there's a 90-degree angle in your front leg as well. If 90 degrees don't feel good to you, you can have them a little closer, a little wider. It won't work if you have them really super close. So you do want to open. And again, you're going to lean back into your arms. Do not collapse in the shoulders. Reach out at the shoulders. And now what we're going to do is I'm going to start with my right leg. So I call it my back leg. And I'm just going to open that leg up. And then it's going to have this feeling like it's going to drag that other leg over. So that's all it is. So I'm up on the heel on this leg, and I'm externally rotating that leg. And then this one is coming over. And you're just going to do that a few times. Move with the breath. Should feel really, real juicy. Really nice mobility in the hips. I hope it feels good. So move with the breath. Notice if you're tensing anywhere. Correct back in. You'll probably move a little bit on your mat, which is fine. You might move forward. You might have to adjust as you move a little bit. So staying with that, enjoying this movement. And now we're over onto one side. We're going to kind of sit up. So your belly is kind of be facing this front leg. Just want to have my hands down, just my fingertips on the floor. And what I'm going to try to do now is just lift this back leg. So I'm kind of, and you want to be lifting the leg and really thinking about the glutes and this thigh doing the work. So I don't want to be just like initiating from the knee is what I'm trying to say. So really push and come down. Push up and come down. So really working the glute med here. The muscles in the thigh. So stay with your breath. Knee up and knee down. So we're going to keep that leg up now and hold and breathe. And down. Inhale up. Now you're going to pump the top part. So you're just going to go up and down a few times. Remember to breathe and not to store any energy in other places. So you want all the energy going here, the muscles that are helping your leg, making your leg move up and down. And I'm going to come all the way down, and then I'm going to come all the way up, and all the way down, and all the way up. Keep moving. Take a break if you need it. We'll do one more here, and we'll hold it up. And hold. Hold. Take a breath. We'll do a couple pumps. 1, 2, and 3. Woo. And now we're going to straighten out the legs. Give them a little shake. And we're going to move to the other side. So coming into that 50-50, and you're probably going to have to adjust yourself. So I'm just looking at my legs. There's a 90-degree angle here and here. And I'm going to start on the side now. So I'm going to lift the knee up. So you're keeping the foot down and lifting the knee up, but really focusing the movement coming from the hip or pushing out of the thigh muscles. And breathe. So just breathe with your movements. Inhale up. Or inhale down, exhale up. So take a breath, inhale, exhale, up, push up. So you may notice a difference too between the two sides. I feel like I have less mobility here in my left side. So now when you're up the next time, I want you to just hold and breathe. And now we're just going to pump the top part. So just pumping the leg. And by the way, the knees don't have to be touching the floor here. So this knee is not on the floor, and they don't even have to be really close to it. And then come all the way down, come all the way up and hold. Take a breath. Relax the face, the jaw, the shoulders. And we're going to pump here again, just the top part up and down. Stay with the breath. Oh, we're gonna come down and then we're gonna come up once more and hold, hold, hold. Big breaths in, breath out, hold, hold, hold. And come down, straighten out your legs and give them a little shake. Bring them closer. You may want to give your thighs or hips a little rub, your legs. And we're going to come right to hands and knees now. So if you want to have something on your knees, of course, you get your blanket or a cushion or whatever you have. And for those who are new, there's other ways to be on your hands and knees. So if you don't have good mobility in your wrists, you may want to not come on the knees. So there's no pain in my class, any discomfort or anything, it's not for you today. So I'm just assuming now that everybody's okay on their hands and knees. And if you have any questions, please send them to me. And I also have an introductory video out there that shows you just different modifications for the main kind of the poses that we go in, or positions like hands and knees and sitting and stuff. So we're on our hands and knees, and the hands are underneath the shoulders. They could be a little forward. They could be, they're about shoulder width apart, with shoulder width distance apart. But if that does not feel good, you can have them a little wider as well. So we're just going to start with a little bit of movement. So anytime I get on hands and knees, I like to just wiggle the hips side to side. My knees are underneath my hips, and they're hip width distance apart. I'm pushing out of my hands. I have my fingers nice and wide. I don't want to arch my back here, so I'm trying to keep my ribs in. I'm trying to keep my shoulder blades like flat on my back. So I'm just moving here, weighing the tail from side to side. Breathing, checking with the neck. Sometimes you may have to tuck the chin a little bit, thinking about the neck nice and long in the back. And I'm going to do some circles now. So you can have the toes tucked if you want. And I'm just moving the hips around in circles. There's no wrong way to do this. And I'm going to go around in the other direction. And all we're going to do now is reach the arms. So I'm going to plant the arms a little forward, and I'm going to reach the bum back. So it's not into a child's pose, but it's because my hands are really reached out. My bum is not quite back, or my bum is not quite back to my heels. Just a nice stretch through the sides. And then I'm going to come up. And so I'm rocking up and rocking back. And I'm trying to keep my back just stable. So the movement is in, the knees and the shoulders, the hips, the ankles. And you're just rocking back and forth. And move with the breath. And come down now. So just bring your feet towards the heels and drop your head towards the floor. Reach with the arms. I like to look between my feet, so I'm bringing like the hairline of my forehead kind of down towards the mat. And reach and take a big breath here. And come back into all fours, and then you're going to walk your hands back to your knees so that you're standing on your knees, and you're going to take your right foot and bring it forward. So I'm bringing my foot forward so that we're in this lunge. So we're going to go into a lunge, but there's a couple of ways to go into this lunge. So that knee is over the front ankle, okay? So you may want to adjust the back leg a little bit, but we can go into a lunge, and the lunges that we're used to going into is just collapsing down into a lunge like this, and perhaps bringing the hands to the floor. But today what I want you to do is I want you to stay straight and think about plugging the femur bone in. So I want you to take your hands on your ASISs, your hip bones here, take your fingers, and sometimes and usually when we go into a low lunge, we come down, and these bones and your pelvis tucks, and the bones those two bones are pointing down at the floor. I want those bones to be pointing forward like two headlights in a car, and I want them to stay there. I'm going to adjust, so I'm going to walk my foot up a little bit. So I'm plugged in, I'm plugging that femur in. The two hip bones are level, and all I'm going to do is I'm going to just move forward. So I'm still getting this really nice stretch in the back leg. This leg is doing a lot of work. It's a stabilizing leg. And now just like your ASISs are moving forward, not moving down, but just so it's a little movement, because if I move much further, they're going to start going down. So it may not look like a deep, deep lunge, but I'm seriously getting a lot of good stretch in this leg. This leg is doing a lot of work. You may have to adjust by wiggling out your foot if you feel like you can come a little bit further. Forward though, not down like this, okay? So take a breath, hold something if you're next to a wall or a chair, put your hand on that, and just take some breaths. Notice what's going on now. This is a new movement, maybe you're starting to tense. So relax the jaw, relax the forehead. One last breath here, and then exhale and bring that leg back, and we're going to move to the other side. So just take a breath here first, or a couple breaths actually. And one more big breath. So I'm going to move the front foot. So knee over the ankle. You may have to adjust. I like to adjust the front leg instead of adjusting the back leg. And again, take your hands on the ASISs. And it's like you're moving the pelvis forward and not down. You don't want the pelvis to tip or tilt. Okay, again, sometimes it's really bad on the knee, and sometimes I like to just lift up and come down again, and it's kind of like your knee at the front of the knee is touching the floor more than anything else. But anyways, so the hips, and then you're moving forward. So it doesn't look like much of a lunge, but all the work is still going on. So you should have a really nice stretch in the front of your right leg. Breathe here. Like I said, hold something, adjust your front foot, and remember to be plugged in, right? So I always say plug this leg in, and then the two hip bones are pointing forward and aligned. Take one more breath here. And exhale. Release. And just give that a little shake. Shake the hands, bring them up, give them a little shake. Okay, so we're going to come laying down now. So this is where you need your socks or a blanket or a scarf or anything that you can move easily. I'm going to use this blanket. Anything you can move easily with your feet. So if you're laying on your mat, what I would do is I would just curl the front of it up so you have length for your feet at the end. But I think I'm going to go kind of like sideways here so that you can see better. And come all the way down onto your backs. So come on down and yes, have your socks off or socks on if you're on hardwood floor. And this is what we're going to be kind of doing. So this is why I said if you're on carpet, then maybe just a couple sheets of paper underneath your feet would work. So you're come down on your back, all the way down, with your feet bent. So your knees bent, I mean, not your feet bent. So you're going to be comfortable. So I want all your ribs touching on the back. You may even need to roll your shoulder blades down, and you feel your shoulder blades nice and flat on your back. Try not to be arching too much, so all the ribs touching. You have a nice little space arch under your lower back. You're going to do one leg at a time, so if you're using whatever you're using under your feet. And I want you to get a sense that you're pushing with your heel, and you're going to push the blanket away, or whatever it is you're using, and then you're bringing it back in, okay? So pushing it away and pulling it back in. Now notice what happens. Notice if there's other parts of your body trying to like tense and take on some of that energy. So just release all of that. So you don't want to tense in your face, remember, in your shoulders and your belly. And you're just going back and forth. Pulling it in, pushing the heel down into the floor. Small movement, don't look like much, but if you're doing it, you're probably feeling it already. So pulling in and pushing out and pulling in. Stay with the breath. Inhale, push out. Exhale, bring in and relax. I'm going to move it over to the other leg. So positioning yourself, getting yourself ready, and then push out. And bring in. Moving with your breath. Feel the contraction in the back of your leg as you push the heel down and bring the blanket towards you. Toes pointing up to the ceiling. Not toes pointed up to the ceiling when you're bringing the foot back, of course. The foot kind of almost goes straight again. But when you're pushing out, it's like you're pushing out of the heel, toes go up towards the ceiling. And then pull in. Take a break if you need one, and then just come back. If you need a break, always take a break if you feel, especially if then the movement starts to move somewhere else. Like if you start to feel tension when you're doing this in your back or somewhere else, then take a break. And this is the last one. Whew. And let the knees just kind of collapse in towards one another. And take some breaths. Big inhales, big exhales. It always feels better to put a little smile on your face. So we're going to move back to the right leg now. And this time, you're going to open the leg, and I don't mean like let the leg completely collapse because you don't want the pelvis to move, okay? So again, I like to have my hands on my ASIs, on your hip bones here. And I'm going to let that leg open just as wide as it can go without the pelvis kind of tipping over to the side, okay? And then you're going to push out, same thing, push out, push down in your heels, and now bring the toes up towards the ceiling and vertically come back, okay? So same thing, just open the leg, push out, push down and out, and then bring the foot back to vertical and come back in. Okay, so the leg is not wide when you come in. So open the leg, push out. Whew. Bring the toes up towards the ceiling, pull in. You're still pushing down into the heel. Open the leg again, push out. Whew. Really feeling in the calves, pull in. Again, keep going. Move with the breath. And see if you could do one more. Nice and slow. Okay, let that leg relax. I like to just drop the knees towards each other, open the feet a little bit. Take some breaths here. We're going to move to your side. So 2 legs are bent, both legs are bent. So opening to the side, but put your hands on your ASISs. Don't let the pelvis, so you're trying to just move the leg, not the pelvis. Okay, push out. Bring the toes up towards the ceiling and pull in. Open, push out. Pull in. Notice Oh, my other leg is starting to fall over to the side. Keep that leg straight, open, push out. Because other things are going to want to help out here, right? So you're going to notice that your pelvis may want to move. Maybe the other leg is trying to help as well. And also you may be tensing in other places. I noticed that I was tensing in the arms, the hands. So opening, pushing out. Whew. And continuing that movement. Let's try to do 3 more. So open the leg, push out. But if that's too much, take a break. And you don't have to, I know the ankle will get really tired too if you're really pointing. So don't like point up to the ceiling so much where it's just getting uncomfortable. So just the main thing is you're pushing into your heel and come back. Whew. Collapse the legs in towards each other. Take some breaths here. So now we're going to come into a bridge, so a small bridge. And when you're going into this, it doesn't mean that you need to get your hips up as far as you can get them or anything, okay? So my knees are bent, comfortable distance. Some people say bringing them really close to your bum. I don't like that. I like having them a little bit out from my bum. I cannot touch my heels with my fingers. Some people like to bring their heels in. That's usually how they teach it in yoga, but for me, it's like you're going to find that Goldilocks zone where it's the best place for you. So that's what's more important here. So before we come up into a bridge, so what I want you to do is get that sensation. So the knees are about hip width distance apart, feet are hip width distance apart. I want you to get the sensation like you're pushing down, but also pulling the heels towards your bum as you come up. And I want you to stay mindful of the connection between the ribs and the hips. So trying to kind of keep them together, okay? And then, so as we come up, so we're gonna lift and just notice the crease in your pants here, right? And what I want you to think of is when you come up, you're opening up that crease. So you're making the crease in your pants spread open, okay? So push down. To begin, all your ribs are on the floor. There's a little arch in your lower back. I'm going to put my hands down by my sides, palms facing down, making sure that my shoulders are rolled or flat against my back. Now I'm going to push into my feet and like I'm going to pull my heels towards my bum. I'm going to come up and keeping mindful of that connection here, and my hips are opened up here, and you can push up, 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 and really the glutes should be engaged here, okay? You're pulling the heels towards yourself, and the backside should be engaged, okay? So you can stay here for a couple breaths, or you can come down and come up to another one. I'm just going to do one more last breath here. And exhale, keeping that connection, the ribs and the hips, and just lowering myself down. Take a breath. Exhale again, push down. Some people like to push the feet away from them. I've heard it like that. I like that feeling like you're pulling your heels in. And as soon as you pull the heels towards your bum without actually moving the feet, you'll feel an engagement and contraction in the back body. That's what you want. And now you're going to keep mindful of that connection between the ribs and the pelvis. Lift yourself up, expanding that space in the hip crease here. Pushing yourself up, feeling the glutes engaged. Whole backs of the legs engaged. Hold. Breathe. Hold. One last breath. Come down. Keep that connection, just so that I don't want you to just collapse. Just keeping that connection moving down. Okay, you can go and do one more if you want. or you can move on to the next one with me. So the next one that we're going to do, it may not be for everybody. You can give it a try, and if it doesn't work, just come into the normal bridge, okay? So again, and I gotta see if I got this right. Okay. So we're going to, again, push down, pull in, come up to your bridge. Bring the hands down for stability. And now I want you to see if you can lift 1 foot while you're up in bridge already, 1 inch off the floor. Oh, and release, and come down. I started to get a cramp then, you may have too. So we're gonna do the other side. And it's really just to notice, because it is hard. I just want you to notice like how your body responds to it, okay? And if it's way too much for you, then just come into normal bridge or take a relax. So I'm taking a big breath in, exhaling. The whole back body is contracted, a lot of strength in the back body. And now I'm getting ready, and I'm gonna try to lift that foot just 1 inch off the ground. Oh, I'm gonna move over to the other. It's really hard because I start to cramp myself. So lift the foot, and that was way more than 1 inch. I'm gonna try to stay up here. Oof, and lift the other foot. And come down. Oh, and bring yourself down. So we're working all the back side, right? The glutes and the back part of the posterior chain from the waist down anyways. Okay, we're gonna try it again. So keeping that connection with the hips and the ribs, so raising them at the same time, pulling the feet in towards your bum, not actually pulling in, but that feeling like you are. Coming up into the bridge, and now I'm gonna try it one more time because it's kind of fun. I'm gonna try to bring the left foot up and come down. And I know I've come up way more than 1 inch, I feel like. And then the other foot. Whoa, trying to keep yourself up. Whew. And come down. So relax your legs out. I just got that one from a teacher of mine. And so I was like, oh, I'll bring that into my next class. And I only did it once, but yeah, that's great. So just shake your feet out, shake your legs out. Okay, so now comes the blocks. So we're staying on our backs, but you may have to roll up as I do and get your blocks ready, or a book. So just something high. Don't worry if it's not 3 or 4 inches. If it's 2 inches, I'm sure it'll be fine. Or even just one book. And I want you to put them next to each other, so vertically, and lay down and just put your heels on top of the books. Okay, so hip width distance apart again, toes up to the ceiling. I like getting my whole back body adjusted and ready. So ribs on the floor, shoulders are down. So all we have to do here, so my palms are down to is we're just gonna try to lift our pelvis off the floor. Okay, so come down, so you're really pushing down in the heels and lift. And hold. Lift, 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 and come down. Take a breath. So you're just lifting the pelvis. So take a breath and then exhale, come up. And it's still like that feeling you're pulling the heels back towards you. So you can really feel the contraction in the backs of the legs. And relax. So if you're getting any lower back pain or anything here, maybe just skip this one. Sometimes it might help to kind of tuck the pelvis under a little tiny bit more than just having it neutral. But any pain, any discomfort, this is not for you today, okay? So that's not what we want to experience in yoga. So another breath, and exhale, lift. And you don't have, you're not trying to get as far as you can, you're just trying to lift Just get the pelvis off the floor. Maybe your pelvis don't come off the floor, and that's okay, because you're gonna still probably feel the contraction by pushing down in the heels. Even if you don't lift up, even if you can still feel your bum on the floor, the work is still being done. It's not about how high you lift, okay? And you're probably feeling that, like even if you don't, I can still feel my bum on the floor here. I'm not completely up, but a lot of work going in the backs of the legs. Can we do that one more time? I'm gonna do it one more time. You don't have to, you can, it's up to you. Okay, one more time. Lift the pelvis up, don't have to be too high. Really feel like you're pulling the heels towards your bum. And try to breathe, try to hold it. Try to relax in other places, because you want all the energy, just imagine all the energy going to your back body here. Woo, and come down. Okay. Now what we're going to do is keep the blocks there, bring them a little closer. So I'm just going to bring the blocks a little closer. I'm going to put them the other way now, so the lengthways here, so that my feet can fit on the blocks. Now, if you had something, as long as your heels are in the blocks, is more important than having just the toes in the blocks. So, and now we're going to come into another bridge, but up on the blocks. Okay. So you might find this easier. So pushing the heels down, pushing like you're pulling the heels towards your bum, contraction in the back body, lift, 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 lift. Whoa. Take your breath. So we're on the floor all night, but obviously, like I said, it's kind of relaxing, but I don't know, still doing a nice bit of work. So let's try that one more time. Push down, push back. Notice the crease in your pants. You're going to widen that crease. That's what you're thinking about. Widen that crease. Your bum is turned on. All the muscles in the backs of your legs are engaged. And breathe. And exhale. Calm down. Push the blocks aside. Extend your arms. Extend your legs. And push out of the heels. And then maybe just give the legs a little wobble and shake back and forth. So for the next part, we're going to use, and this will be just the last thing we do before Shavasana, you'll be really happy to know. So I'm gonna roll over onto my side, and I'm going to put this under my pelvis. So whatever you have, if it's higher than this or lower, the higher it is, sometimes the more fun it is. I would suggest something a little higher. I'm gonna try to use my bolster. So it's quite a bit higher, but honestly, don't worry if it's just a cushion you have, that'll work too. So I'm gonna take my strap and I'm going to maneuver this underneath my pelvis, okay? So I'm just gonna kind of sit on it, come back, or you can be laying down and then just kind of put it under you. But I'm laying here and I'm kind of having it on my lower back. So not right in my, the arch of my back, down, so that your whole sacrum is, that lower part of your back is on this, on your pillow or whatever. So you notice that my back is arched, my ribs are coming up. So I'm gonna bring my legs up a little, right? So now my ribs are down. I'm gonna take my strap now. Actually, I don't think we do need the strap. I don't know why I was thinking I needed the strap for this one, but I don't think we do need the strap. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna bring one leg in, or one knee in, and I'm just gonna hold it with my hands. Okay, I still don't wanna be arching, I still want my ribs flat, and I'm gonna extend the other leg. So I'm bringing this knee, I'm gonna bring this knee in, and this leg is kind of just hanging there. It could kind of touch the ground if I let it, but it's nice if you have a little bit of space there between the floor and your heel. And I'm just gonna swing that leg side to side. So that's all it is. I'm sweeping my leg from side to side. And then I'm gonna move over, so I'm switching legs, extending the other leg, really like pulling it out of its socket, reach through the heel. Take some big breaths. And just enjoy moving the leg from side to side. And do one little sweep from side to side. And then bring both knees in and perhaps bring the legs now up high to the ceiling. So you'll notice that it feels so good to have something under. If I did not have this under, my legs wouldn't go so comfortably out to the ceiling. So it should be that they're just super comfortable. You should be super comfortable up here. It's not taking effort for me to keep my legs here. So I like to stretch my heels up towards the ceiling and do whatever you like here. Maybe opening the legs. If you are opening the legs, don't let them just collapse, okay? Just keep some resistance there. Opening the legs. You can scissor them back and forth. Feeling a bit of a hamstring stretch. Back. So if for Shavasana, if you want to have legs up the wall, you can go ahead and set that up basically just like you are. You can have this set up and put your legs up, or you can just stay here maybe for Shavasana, I don't know. Or you can just take this away, legs up the wall, or you can just get ready for a normal Shavasana on your back. If you do have legs up the wall, and I will show you that. So just come to the side. So you're gonna sit sideways, and the point is not to get your bum all the way to the wall. And then I like to sit sideways and then scoop myself around and then bring the legs up the wall. And just find that space, that place that's comfortable for you. And sometimes you might feel like putting your fists like next to your thighs here or under your thighs just for a little bit of support. So that's just one option for Shavasana tonight. Some people love legs up the wall. Otherwise, you're just going to stay laying on your back and get all cozy. I'm going to turn off the lights in my room. I'm sure it's not going to make much of a difference, but in case it's just very bright here right now. So I hope that feels good. Like I said, it was mostly, we started with a lot of movement, the upper body, just giving a lot of spinal movement. And then we did a lot of back of the body, but not too much. I was a little bit tired and I didn't want to go too crazy tonight. So get comfortable. Put on some nice music if you want. Get a blanket, a pillow, something under your knees. Get nice and cozy. And I'm not sure if I should put music on or not. I never know what to do. I think I'm not going to tonight, but please let me know if you prefer when I do play music. So getting cozy, coming back to your breath. Laying down on your back. The ribs are touching the floor. And there's a small arch in your lower back. You may want to roll your shoulders down behind you, feeling your shoulder blades nice and flat on your back. And just noticing how you feel first. How does your body feel? How is that? How is that class? You may have all kinds of opinions. The mind may be busy. Just notice your thoughts. Notice where your thoughts go. And now try to be an observer only of those thoughts. So try to disengage and just be the observer. So like your thoughts are leaves floating down the river. You're aware, you can see them, but you're just an observer. You don't judge. You have no expectations. You're just letting your thoughts be what they are. And now focus on the breath. The breath coming in, feeling the belly rise. Notice the belly fall on the exhale. Relax the chest. Feeling an openness between your shoulders and your chest, and the front of your shoulders and your chest. Being conscious of that heart center. Relax the muscles in the face. Create a little space in the back teeth. Remove the tongue from the roof of the mouth. And let the skin relax on your face. Your scalp relaxes. Your ears relax. Your lips. Your whole face. Moving down the throat, the back of the neck. Moving into the shoulders, to the chest, down the arms, to the elbows, forearms, the wrists, your hands and your fingers, all heavy. Invite this feeling to move from your neck and down your back body, down your back, spreading wide, shoulder blades, relax. The whole back body sinking deeper, feeling heavier, feeling the breath in and out. Relax the chest, the belly, moving down into the hips, and the pelvis, your glutes, your thighs, heavy. And let go of any stress that you hold there. Your legs are heavy. And that relaxed sensation is moving down your legs and into your knees, into your calves and your shins, your ankles, your heels, your feet and your toes. Breathing in, and every exhale you're relaxing a little deeper. Getting a little heavier. Noticing the stillness. body, the air around you. Quiet breath. Be the witness of your thoughts. Let your whole body release and let go. I'm going to leave you here. I thank you all for coming tonight.